Hello everyone! Good evening! Iba't ibang klaseng low carb, yun yung pag-uusapan natin today. At bakit hindi successful yung karamihan? Ano ba yung low carb at ano ang iba't ibang klase ng low carb na pinapractice ng mga tao? So, low carb, to start with, ito yung pagkain na mababa sa carbohydrates. Ano yung carbohydrates? So, yung carbohydrates, isa ito sa ating mga common sources of energy. So, sa ating pagkain, meron tayong proteins, meron din tayong fats, meron din tayong carbohydrates. Yun yung ating major sources ng ating energy. Yung energy sa ating katawan is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Pero yung ATP na ito, pwedeng manggaling sa glucose, yun yung carbohydrates, at pwede rin itong manggaling sa fats o ng ating ketones, galing sa ating taba o sa taba na kinakain natin. At kahit yung proteins can also be converted into energy. Marami rin itong pwedeng gawin. So, ang proteins can be transposed into ketones or fat, so fat-based na energy, or through gluconeogenesis. Pwede rin itong magawing glucose. So, lahat ng ito, yung kinakain natin, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are all possible sources of energy. Kaya nga lang, yung kinalakihan nating idea when it comes to energy, yung go foods, kumbaga, is usually na sasanay tayo na ito ay manggagaling lang sa carbohydrates. Kaya pinapakain tayo ng kanin, ng tinapay, ng sweets, ng candy, especially yung mga bata, because akala natin, eto lang yung makakapagbigay sa atin ng energy. Kaya ito, under the go foods. But that idea, that mindset is actually very simplistic. It's too simplistic na nakaligtaan natin yung ibang mas importanteng function at epekto ng carbohydrates sa ating katawan. Because akala natin we've been eating a lot of carbohydrates in the form of rice, in the form of bread, noodles, mga tinapay, mga candy, mga sweets, asukal, thinking na ito lang yung makakapagbigay sa atin ng enerhiya. Pero now we understand na hindi pala ganon ka-simple yung katawan natin because our body is so amazing na kayang-kaya palang gumawa ng energy. In fact, it is more sustainable long-term. Ang ating taba sa katawan is a form of long-term energy. Kasi kayang-kaya itong magbigay sa atin ng energy kahit wala tayong kinakain. Yes, that's how amazing yung ating katawan because energy can come from fats, proteins, carbohydrates. It can even come from alcohol. Kahit yung alcohol, ito ay meron ding equivalent na energy in the form of kilocalories. So, hindi lang actually na carbohydrates yung go foods. So, other foods, kahit lechon, it's actually more energy dense. Mas makakabigay ito ng mas malaking energy sa atin than rice, than tinapay, than patatas. I want you to understand na hindi tayo ganon ka-dependent biochemically sa ating carbohydrates as a source of energy. Kayang-kaya nating mabuhay kahit walang carbohydrates. However, kung gusto niyo namang mabuhay na merong carbohydrates, okay lang din naman. But if you want to lower your blood sugar, if you want to lower your blood pressure the natural way, if you want to lower your inflammation in the body, especially kung galing kayo sa high carb way of eating, yung pagkain na parating may kanin, parating merong matamis, parating may soft drinks, parating may desserts. So, the usual eating of 3 cups of rice a day, actually high carb na yon. Ang pagkain ng 2 cups of rice a day, high carb pa rin yon. Ang pagkain ng 1 cup na may kasamang tinapay, high carb pa din yon. Yung pagkain ng walang rice pero nagso-soft drinks ka 3 times a day, high carb pa rin yon. Hindi pa rin yon low carb. So, yun yung pag-uusapan natin. Yung iba't ibang klase ng low carb na practice ng karamihan ngayon sa ating community. Hello and thank you to 1,951 live viewers in our Facebook, including in YouTube channel. So, unang-una, unahin natin yung ating group na ang pangalan ay life without rice. So, yung isang unang-unang klase ng low carb ay yung pagkain na wala ng rice. So, congratulations kung isa kayo sa nagsimula na ng pagkain ng buhay ng walang kanin. 'Di ba? Sobrang surprising. Halos hindi ka makapaniwala na kayang-kaya mo palang kumain at kayang-kaya mo palang mabuhay ng walang kanin. Because, yes, we can live without rice. And for all of you, for those of you, I encourage you to put in the comments kung ano yung experience niyo the moment na winala niyo yung rice. And I understand na marami yung nahihirapan. Marami yung hindi successful. It's because nung tinanggal nila ng rice, nahilo sila, nanginig, tapos hindi sila maka-function ng mabuti kasi parang nanghihina sila. Pero actually, hindi yun dahil sa rice. It's because the moment na tinanggal mo yung rice sa inyong katawan, bababa din yung inyong insulin at kapag bumaba na yung inyong insulin level sa inyong katawan, yung katawan nyo, hindi na siya mag-hold, hindi niya i-hoard yung salt natin sa katawan in the form of sodium. At kapag wala na tayong capacity to hold on to so much salt sa ating katawan, iihi nito ng ating katawan. At sabay nito is yung water. So it's actually the electrolyte and water loss. Kaya tayo nangihina, kaya tayo nawawala ng energy. So anong solusyon dyan? Kailangan bang ibalik ang rice? Actually, hindi. Kailangan nyo lang i-increase o pataasin yung inyong intake ng water and salt. Yun lang. Ganun lang kasimple yun. It's because our body's capacity to hold on to sodium and water is less kapag tinanggal natin yung carbohydrates sa ating katawan. So just increasing your salt intake and water intake the moment you start your life without rice can do the trick. Pero low carb na ba yung life without rice? Pwedeng-pwede if you understand the meaning of our groups, if binasa ninyo yung rules and description ng ating group na yung life without rice, hindi lang siya actually rice lang yung winala natin. But we also consider other carbohydrates representing rice. So, hindi lang basta rice, but pwede rin kasama yung other grains. So, kasama doon yung wheat flour, wheat products, corn products, barley, and so many other grains. So all of those grains are part of our carbohydrates. And aside from that, kasama din yung root crops. So kamote, patatas. Oh, wag kayong magalit. I know na maraming nagsasabi na healthy yung patatas, especially yung sweet potato, yung kamote. Yes, that can be healthy if you are considering ang insulin impact nito. So, maybe if you eat that just 50 grams in a day, okay na yon at wala ka ng ibang kinakain. Pero if kumakain ka ng kamote Q, so yung kamote na merong sugar at nagso-soft drinks ka pa on the side, at kapag sa dinner, meron ka pang kanin, so that is actually already too much. So, for our 350,000 members in Life Without Rice, I hope you understand, alam ninyo, na we are not saying no to all of these foods, this complex carbohydrates, this starchy carbohydrates. It's because we can accommodate them kung wala na kayong health issues. You are perfect in your health. Masasabi mo na ako na yung pinaka-healthy ko sa aking buong buhay. And this one, you know you can burn kasi nag-exercise ka, you're very energetic, and wala kang kahit anong problema when it comes to your blood chemistry, hindi tumataas yung uric acid mo, hindi tumataas yung inyong liver enzymes. So yes, you can accommodate them, kaya sila nasa ating caution list. So, life without rice is low carb only if alam mo na tatanggalin mo rin yung fruits, yung tinapay, yung patatas, yung pasta. Okay? But if you have a life without rice, hindi ka kumakain ng kanin, pero you replace it, pinapalitan mo ito ng tinapay, pinapalitan mo ito ng patatas, mashed potato, french fries, kahit pa red rice o black rice pa yan, o di kaya pinapalitan mo ito ng boiled saging, yung saba ng saging na hilaw, or kamote, or ano pa yung usual na pinapalit, oatmeal, okay? Corn, corn rice. So, kung rice lang yung tinanggal nyo, pero hindi nyo tinanggal ang other form of carbs, that is still not low carb. That is just lower carb. Maybe mas mababa ito as compared sa iyong nakasanayan. Because before, nagtitinapay ka na, nagno-noodles ka pa, nagso-soft drinks ka pa, at nag-rice ka pa. So, kung tinanggal mo yung rice lang, pero yung soft drinks, yung tinapay, yung mga prutas ay nandyan pa din. So, it is still not low carb. I'm sorry to say that. What else? What else are the other types of low carb na hindi ganon ka-epektibo? So, yung iba, wala nang rice, wala na ring tinapay. So, somewhat nakita nila meron ng improvement sa kanilang blood sugar, nakokontrol na, pero nangangailangan pa rin ng gamot. And when we look closely, nagpa-check up, nagpa-laboratory, biglang-biglang na-shock kasi yung triglycerides medyo mataas. And nung pinakita pa yung liver enzymes, yung SGPT, yung SGOT, mataas din. Pumayat na sila. Pumayat na, lumiit na yung tiyan ng kaunti. Pero yung kanilang total cholesterol at saka yung pinaka-importante doon, yung triglycerides at saka VLDL, sobrang taas. At saka na yung kanilang blood sugar, bumaba before, pero hindi pa rin ganoon kababa. Abnormal pa din. And when we ask, wala nang rice, wala nang tinapay. Pero, nung tinanong, ano yung kinakain mo sa snacks? Saging, 3 times a day. At saka kung merong mangga, may nagbigay yung kaniyang neighbor, yung kapitbahay. Kumain din. At araw-araw, hindi pwedeng walang apple. Kasi an apple a day keeps the doctor away daw. So, kumakain ng saging, kumakain ng mansanas, kumakain ng mangga. At since nandito tayo sa Pilipinas at yung ating agricultural land is very good, very fertile. So, all year round, merong tumutubo. All year round, merong bunga. Nasusobrahan pa rin sa prutas. So, kung naglilimit na kayo ng inyong kanin, naglilimit na kayo ng inyong tinapay, pero yung prutas ay sobrang unlimited pa din, hindi pa rin yan low carb. Okay? You can argue that that is still a healthy way of eating. Of course, you can believe that. But what I am telling you, hindi ito a matter of belief. Ika nga ng ating mga admins sa ating Life Without Rice and Low Carb Feasting and Fasting community. Hello sa inyo. You know who you are. We have Olidan, Earl, Chloe, Regina, Rosette, and Ayeng, Kuya Gibo. So marami tayong admins dyan. I know, nahihirapan na tayo medyo sa dami ng ating members, but thank you still for being there. Hindi po ito a matter of belief. Hindi ito yung pinaniwalaan namin. This is science. Okay? Hindi kayo kailangan maniwala sa amin. You can counter-check. Okay? You can fact-check what we are telling you. Just make sure na tama yung website na inyong makikita. Hindi yung mga standard fueled by high carb standards, which is, sa totoo lang, hindi talaga based on biochemistry. What we are teaching you is based on biochemistry. Hindi ito galing sa food pyramid, hindi ito galing sa dietary guidelines. This is based on evolution backed up by basic biochemistry. Yung maganda kasi sa basic biochemistry, walang sponsorship. Yung basic biochemistry, para siyang physics sa high school, at saka chemistry sa high school, at saka biology. So when all of those combined, pero yung kung ano yung nangyayari, kung ano yung nagaganap sa ating katawan, that is biochemistry. At yon nakita natin yung epekto ng pagkain. And we see now na kaya pala hindi bumabagsak yung triglycerides, hindi bumabagsak yung liver enzymes, hindi bumabagsak yung uric acid, because it's too much carbohydrates. Too much carbohydrates, too much sugar can actually increase triglycerides, increase cholesterol in the form of bad cholesterol, that is VLDL, and even secondary na inflammation sa liver natin that leads into chronic uric acid production. Sobrang taas ng uric acid production. At hindi ito directly related lang sa meat intake. Yes, kung kumakain kayo ng karne, pero kasabay nito ay kanin, kasabay nito ay prutas, then you are expected to have increased uric acid. Pero sa isang healthy individual, especially sa dinami-dami na nating thousands of members in our groups, especially in our masterclass, you can see there, yung kinakain, sobrang taas sa proteins. Parating nakababoy, parating nakakarne, hindi nagsisay no sa kahit anong animal meat products, all meat diet. But yung creatinine, yung kanilang uric acid, bumabagsak, nagiging normal. Exemption, yung mga naglo-low carb na sila-sila lang, na hindi guided, yes, there can be a transient increase in uric acid. Merong mga naglo-low carb na hindi tamang pagkaka-low carb, tumataas yung uric acid. It's because when they eat proteins, hindi ito balanced with the right amount of potassium in the form of electrolytes. So, kailangan yung electrolytes nakabalansi din. So, I want you to know na kung gagawin yun yung low carb, you try to do it the best way, the ideal way. At hindi lang yon pagtanggal ng kanin, hindi lang yon pagtanggal ng tinapay, hindi lang yon pagtanggal ng mga pasta, but it can also mean removal of most fruits. Because these fruits can be healthy if you are already healthy to begin with, or kung bata ka pa, o kung wala kang kahit anong health issues. But if you already have health issues na related to insulin resistance, na related to too much carbohydrates, yung tawag natin sa ating masterclass, the harvest season, too much harvest season for the longest time, then you can actually benefit from saying no muna to fruits, including other carbohydrates. So, sa mga first time nakarinig nito, especially that we have 3,700 live viewers right now, I understand na baka maging violent yung iba kasi for the first time, nakarinig nila sa isang doktor na nagsasabi na fruits can be not healthy. Pwede siyang maging not healthy, but it's not the only one. We are just focusing on these foods because walang nagpo-focus dito. What we want to emphasize right now is just because we remove them, okay, we also remove all the other processed products. Kasi merong mga iba, I know some, kilala ko kayo, na nagla-life without rice, without bread, without fruits, pero ano yung hindi nila mawala? Chocolates. O di kaya dessert. Yung kanilang 50 grams of carbohydrate allowance, minamaximize sa high carb na dessert. O di kaya nagso-soft drinks. So, meron silang hindi ma-let go. So, yes, that is lower in carbs, pero actually, that is not low carb. Kung mayroong mag-argue, 50 grams lang naman, hindi ako lumalagpas sa 50 grams. But if you are focusing on those 50 grams sa fructose, sa inflammatory foods, highly processed products, then it might be low carb, but it's not a nutritious low carb. Okay? So, for our So, if you are going to do low carb, I hope you do it the nutrient-dense way, yung the most nutritious way, because kayo lang din yung magsasuffer. Because if you do low carb, but you are always prioritizing and always focusing on the not so nutritious things, but gusto nyo lang i-incorporate, like all of these sweeteners, all of these low carb goodies, yes, you can say that that is still low carb, pero you can try to consider if it's really the healthiest kind of low carb, the one that you can sustain. Okay? Because the kind of low carb that we want you to do is yung hindi sila nagko-contradict. You can sustain them every day, the foods that you can eat. Hindi ito magbibigay sa inyo ng cravings, hindi ito magbibigay sa inyo ng emotional roller coaster na kapag hindi nyo ito nakakain, hindi enough yung feeling ninyo sa pagkain, walang satisfaction, the low in satiety kind of low carb. So those kinds are not the one that is we promote. We want you to have a low carb that is nutrient dense, mataas sa sustansya, high in satiety, mataas sa satisfaction. Hindi ka na maghahanap ng iba pa, because eating that is already making you feel very satisfied. And also, you make sure that this one is the one that is complete also, not just in vitamins, minerals, but can also give you the enough calories. Hindi rin pwedeng parati kayong nagka-calorie deficit. kahit pa gusto nyo mag-weight loss, hindi sustainable na forever kayo mag-calorie deficit or else mababa yung inyong metabolism. So we want the nutritious kind of low carb. Yung iba, mahirap, hindi sila nagiging successful kasi nung binabaan nila yung kanilang carbohydrates, tama na lahat. They already know how to avoid rice. They already know how to avoid bread, root crops. Kilala na nila kung ano yung mga starchy vegetables tulad ng carrots, tulad ng kalabasa, okay? Tulad ng ano pa ba? Yung mga other starchy vegetables that can actually be too much. Makokonsume ninyo ng too much. They already know how to avoid that. They know how to avoid pasta. Hindi na sila nagda-dessert. Hindi na sila nagso-soft drinks. Hindi na sila nagpro-prutas. Alam nila na yung fruits na acceptable in low carb is just avocado, berries, yung mature na coconut. Pero, alam nyo ba, tamang-tama na yung kanilang paglo-low carb. Pero bakit hindi sila successful? Kasi, nung tinanggal nila yung kanilang low carb, takot pa rin sila sa karne. Takot pa rin sila kumain ng meat. Takot pa rin sila kumain ng taba. Takot pa rin silang kumain ng mamantika because they're all afraid. Yes, there's a basis to be afraid of oil only if it's bad oils. So yung mga bad oils na yon, canola, vegetable oil, sesame seed, sunflower, rapeseed oil, most of those oil, except coconut oil or tallow or lard, those are okay for cooking. Extra virgin olive oil, okay yon. You take it raw, lagay nyo sa inyong salad, or i-drizzle niyo sa inyong pagkain, okay na okay yon. Make sure it's pure EVOO. Kasi meron na ngayong mga EVOO blend. So, hindi na siya totoong virgin olive oil. Meron na siyang blend. Meron na siyang kasabay na canola o di kaya vegetable oil. So, if you are doing low carb, na totoong low carb, less than 50 grams a day, at wala na kayong processed kinds of carbs, so yung kinakain nyo, green leafy vegetables lang, talong, okra, and all the other okay vegetables, which would include cucumber, zucchini, bell peppers, yung mga matubig, mababa sa carbohydrates. Pero kung takot pa rin kayo sa karne, takot pa rin kayo kumain ng steak, takot pa rin kayong kumain ng lechon, takot pa rin kayong kumain ng kahit manok o isda, at itlog, takot pa rin kayo dyan, you are doing low carb but also low protein and low fat. So ano yung mangyayari? So you are actually endangering yourself of nutrient deficiency. Kukulangin kayo sa vitamins and minerals. So kaya manghihina talaga. Manghihina, nangangayayat. Nung una, masayang-masaya kasi pumayat. But later on, na-realize na natatakot na kasi lahat, buong pamilya, nagsasabi na ang payat-payat mo na, hindi ka na maganda, hindi ka na mukhang healthy, para ka nang nangangayayat. And it's actually not because of low carb, but because you are not doing low carb the right way. You are doing low carb, but also low protein and low fat. And that is not the right kind. That is not the nutritious kind. That is not the healthy kind of low carb. Because low carb is best paired with moderate to high proteins, moderate to high fats. And with the right low carb, if you have the right knowledge, alam nyong hindi kayo kailangan matakot sa taba as long as these are natural fats. Hindi kayo kailangan matakot sa proteins as long as it's good quality proteins. So, good quality proteins, we've discussed that in our previous video, as well yung fats. Hindi tayo kailangan matakot. Kung kumain tayo ng steak, hindi nyo kailangan alisin yung taba. Kung kakain kayo ng pork chop, hindi kailangan yung karne lang yung kakainin. Kung kumain kayo ng chicken, hindi nyo kailangan alisin yung skin. Although, hindi nyo rin kailangan kumain ng chicken skin araw-araw because that wouldn't become a good balance of proteins and fats. As much as possible, we eat foods in their more natural presentation, more natural ratio. Because yun yung mas nakasanayan natin. Yes, from time to time, pwedeng mag-enjoy ng chicharon, pwedeng mag-enjoy ng chicken skin, pero hindi rin pwedeng ganun parate. There should be an equal balance of proteins and fat ratio. Fats will give you the energy that you need ito ang magbibigay sa inyo ng energy. Kasi nga, kung energy lang yung pag-uusapan, mas merong malaking energy sa fats kumpara sa carbohydrates or glucose. Because 1 gram of carbohydrates, ang ibibigay sa yung energy yan, 4 kilocalories lang. Pero 1 gram of fats, yung ibibigay sa yung energy yan is 9 kilocalories. So, for those naman na mga calorie police, yung mga especially sa nutrition and sa mga nag-gym, na takot kumain ng taba kasi they always count the calories. Remember na yung taba na yon can only accumulate in your body as stored fats, as magiging taba sa katawan na nagpapadaba ng isang tao, only if merong insulin na magdidictate sa katawan that it is a time to store fats. That it is the time na imbakin yung taba na yon. At yung signal ng insulin ay tataas lamang kapag kumain kayo ng carbs. So that's why kapag wag nyong sisisihin yung lechon sa kasalanan ng kanin na kinain ninyo kasabay ng lechon. Because when you eat lechon alone without kanin, yung lechon na to matutunaw lang at magiging energy. Hindi siya mag-iimbak sa katawan. Wag nyong sisisihin yung lechon sa kasalanan na ginawa ng soft drinks na ininom nyo nung kumain kayo ng lechon. Huwag nyong sisihin si lechon sa kasalanan ng kanin, ng prutas, ng 12 fruits na pwede sana pang paswerte lang, pero kinain mo talaga dahil akala mo mas suswertehin ka, only to find out na after mo kinain yon, yung blood sugar mo tumaas, sumakit yung batok mo, tumaas yung BP ninyo, and it's not because of lechon. Si lechon, nagiging masama lamang kapag kinain nyo ito kasabay ng other carbohydrates. I know it may sound a little too late kasi tapos na yung lechon season, but I hope this 2022, second day of our year, January 2 right now, I hope you get to consider every time you eat. Minsan lang tayo kumakain ng isang pagkain lang. Usually may kasabayan, kanin, ulam, kanin, ulam. I hope if meron kayong dalawang pipiliin sa inyong pagkain, you can just choose ulam at gulay. Lagyan ng asin para merong electrolytes. That way, you can observe yourself in 2 weeks' time and you can see the benefit. Most of our followers right now, nung unang video na nakita nila, yung 3 taon na akong hindi nagsasaing. Pero kung sa totoo lang, no, kung sasaing lang, baka 5 years or baka 10 years na akong hindi nagsasaing. Dahil hindi ko gawain yon. Yung gawain ko is magluto ng ulam. Hindi talaga ako nagsasaing. But sa totoo lang, 3 years nang hindi talaga nagsasaing yung pamilya namin. Because all of us are no longer dependent on rice. We are no longer looking for rice when we eat. So, we are doing low carb. But ano yung pinagpalit namin sa aming plato in our plate before? Puro rice yung kalahati nun and merong kakaunting gulay and kakaunting ulam. Right now, it's all gulay and ulam or sometimes it's all ulam. At kung meron man kaming ilalagay na i-assign, yun yung sinasabi namin, meron kaming i-assign na rice. Usual na rice namin i-assign is, for example, kung ang aming major ulam is baboy, meron kaming i-assign na rice. Either itlog o di kaya chicken kasi walang masyadong lasa yung chicken. So, yun yung nagagawang rice namin. At kung sasabihin nyo naman na magastos yon, actually hindi. Because when we eat this way, hindi kami nagugutom. We only eat once a day. So just like right now, I'm in our tita's place. Nasa baba yung admins natin, the other Rojo family. Umakyat lang ako dito for a meeting. And before going down, naisip ko lang hindi pala tayo nakapagkita ngayong January. And kahit ako, namimiss ko rin kayo. So, I've decided to go live and talk about the different kind of low carb. So, I hope meron kayong nakuha from our video tonight. And yes, hindi na kami dependent on rice or carbohydrates. We get our energy from fats and from proteins, and our uric acid is normal. Our creatinine is normal. Our blood sugar is normal. Our weight, our BMI is normal. Hindi na kami masyadong nagwe-weight. Yung mga weighing scale namin sa bahay, wala nang battery lahat at wala na ring nag-bother na mag-change ng battery because we no longer care about our weight as long as we know how to maintain not the weight but the healthy way of eating. And that is low carb, Kung kakain man ng carb, it's mostly vegetables. At yung karne naman, any animal meat products, it's more on the quality of meat, the quality of protein. Because based on studies, the proteins coming from plants, like mga nuts, mga beans, mga seeds, as compared sa proteins na nanggagaling sa karne, sa isda, sa alimango, sa shrimp, sa manok, sa puti ng itlog, is actually more nutritious. Yung tawag nating, scoring, amino acid scoring, mas mataas yung quality if nanggagaling sa animal products. Because, ikukumpara mo nga naman tayo sa pananim at saka sa isang animal, of course, yung DNA natin mas malapit naman sa animals talaga as compared sa pananim, di ba? So it's just expected then that the quality of proteins that we get from animals is more compatible sa atin for us to use as building blocks, especially sa mga bata. Yun yung gusto kong i-emphasize talaga. Children need proteins more than carbohydrates. Huwag niyong pilitin yung mga batang kumain ng kanin, especially if hindi nila gusto. Those are opportunities for you to provide better food sa inyong anak. At hindi ito kailangang maging mahal. Itlog, 5 pesos, 6 pesos, 2, 3 itlog. And then isda, magkano ba? 10 pesos? 15 pesos? Isang isda na yan, 2 isda na yan. Pwede yan ipakain sa bata. You can buy 1 kilo of fish. Yung mga maliliit na fish are actually more nutritious because mas mababa sila sa mercury content. Mas mababa sila sa food chain. So they are better for us. At saka yung ating vitamins and minerals din dyan, especially yung mga fresh catch na isda are more nutritious. So hindi kailangan expensive. Yung mga gulay, pwede lang itanim. The more local, the better. Hindi kailangan bumili ng asparagus. Hindi kailangan bumili ng lettuce. Pwedeng alugbate. Pwedeng malunggay. Pwedeng kangkong. Pwedeng talbos ng kamote. Kung kakain mo ng kamote, talbos lang ng kamote. Huwag na yung root crops. Yung root crops, save it once a month or once every 2 months. Hindi kailangang araw-araw. And when you do that, you can see that this kind of low carb, if you remove the high carbs, which are mostly, first, of course, yung mga processed carbs, no? Yung mga milk tea, yung mga fraps, yung mga dessert, soft drinks. So beer is very high carb. And then fruit juices, kahit natural fruit juices pa yan. Majority of yogurts now, especially yogurt drinks. Actually, sobrang tagal ko na naghanap ng yogurt dito. Wala talagang magandang yogurt in the local market. I think, hindi talaga. Walang magandang yogurt brand dito sa Pilipinas. The most in here, wala sigurong bumibili yung real yogurt, yung maasim. Kasi yung nasa Pilipinas, kahit yung mga brands that have real yogurt outside, abroad, dito sa Pilipinas, sweetened, mataas, sobrang taas ng carbohydrate content. So, to be safe, the yogurts you should avoid. And for the other carbs, those are the candies, you have the chocolates, yung mga kung ano manong chips, mga chichirya. So all of those are in our danger list. For our caution list naman, these are the carbs na parang pwedeng kainin because they're not natural. But if you still have in need of healing, if you still have issues when it comes to your health, hindi nyo pa masabi na I'm 100% healthy, so let's try to say no to them. So these are root crops, grains, okay, mga rice and the likes, kahit anong rice pa, kahit pa quinoa pa yan, o kahit pa couscous, o kung ano-ano pang mga rice alternative na yan, kahit basmati pa yan, it's still high in carbohydrates. Oatmeal is still high in carbohydrates unless kakain kayo ng oatmeal na raw, yung hindi niluluto. So, be careful lang, baka sumama yung tiyan nyo at magka-diarrhea kayo. But that is resistant starch and that is something that you can. Kung kakain man kayo ng patatas, potato starch na raw, hindi nyo rin lulutuin. So yes, yung iba magkakaroon ng diarrhea kasi hindi sanay, but that is resistant starch that can help you with your bowel movement, that can help your gut. But if it's cooked, ibang usapan na yan, that becomes a normal starch. Sige lang, pag-uusapan natin yung resistant starch at another day, at another time. Just remind me kung kailan natin yung pag-uusapan ulit. And the fruits you try to avoid, you just focus on low-carb fruits, which would include berries na hindi naman natural sa Pilipinas. So, wala tayong right masyadong kumain yan parate. So, paminsan-minsan lang. Mature coconut meat are okay, paminsan-minsan lang din because that can accumulate and can still have some carbs. And of course, avocado. But since hindi season ngayon, huwag mag-alala, huwag mag-effort, huwag magpaka-stress kung walang avocado. So, kung bawal yon, ano na lang yung kakainin natin? Unlimited gulay, unlimited greens, unlimited cucumber, unlimited zucchini, bell peppers, talong kung gusto nyo, okra, at kung ano-ano pa. So marami actually. And when it comes to nutrients and the majority of your calories, it should come from good quality protein. So lahat ng karne, depending on your preference, depending on your religion, kung meron kayong excuse, okay lang. Pero kung totoong gusto nyong maging healthy, mas marami pa rin yung paraan. So sabi nga ni Coach Ayeng, yung isang admin natin sa ating groups, no? It's time to really do something for yourself seriously. Huwag parating maghanap ng excuse. Instead, maghanap ng paraan. Try to find a way how you can be successful in low carb, in life without rice, and also when you do low carb successfully, fasting just comes naturally. If you want to know more about fasting, mas marami ata akong ginawang videos before about fasting because I've been doing long fasting for the last 3 years. Nakapag-fasting ako ng 2 days, ng 3 days, ng 4 days, ng 5 days, ng 7 days, ng 14 days. Yes, up to 14 days po yung longest fasting ko. Ginawa ko yan last March to April this year. At so far, buhay pa naman. And I intend to do that again sometime soon. Wag lang muna ngayon. But certainly, I'll do another extended fast someday soon. But you won't be that successful with fasting if you are not sticking to a good quality of low carb. So, sa mga taong gustong maka-experience din ng benefits of fasting, try to master first the good kind of low carb. The kind of low carb na para sa inyo may sound so strict. Yes, sorry. Yung low carb natin, medyo stricto talaga. Yung low carb natin is hindi talaga ganon ka easy because we are not considering our health as cheap. Hindi po cheap yung health natin. Ito yung pinaka-importanteng kailangan nating pag-alagaan. Because if we take care of our health, it can also take care of us. And it will take care of the rest of the things that we take care, including our loved ones, including our career, including our advocacy, including our faith, and everything that we believe in. So eat right, sleep well, go out in the sun, and stay positive. So, when it comes to iba't ibang klaseng low carb, kung hindi man kayo successful, it's because you might not be doing it right. But if there's a way, there is a will. If there's a will, there is a way rather. So if there's a will, there's a way. I hope you find your way and you can start by finding the right tribe and joining a positive community like our Life Without Rice and Low Carb Feasting and Fasting Community. I welcome you all there. Tingnan nyo lang yan sa ating Facebook and soon we will launch our website for our low carb and fasting masterclass. Stay tuned lang kayo sa announcement na yan. For now, that's it. I hope you get to enjoy our session for tonight. I hope it helped you. And if you wish to know more, nandun lang sa groups natin. Or if you wish to be guided to learn the structured way, yung parang lesson talaga para tayong nasa school again, you are more than welcome to join our 21-day masterclass. Maraming salamat po. Have a good evening. Have a good night. Remember to stay low carb so that we all stay safe.